Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada.
All glory to Samadhi. All glory to Samadhi. All glory to Samadhi. All glory to Shri Guru Shri Granga. All glory to Shri. Okay, we'll start with reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. We're on the chapter, The Journey to America. He was now in America. He was in a major American city, rich with billions, populated with millions, and determined to stay the way it was. Prabhupada saw Boston from the viewpoint of a pure devotee of Krishna. He saw the hellish city life, people dedicated to the illusion of material happiness. All his dedication and training moved him to give these people the transcendental knowledge and saving grace of Krishna consciousness, yet he was feeling weak, lowly, and unable to help them on his own. But he was an insignificant beggar, as he said, with no money. He had barely survived 2 heart attacks at sea. He spoke a different language, he dressed strangely, yet he had to come to tell these people to give up meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling, and to teach them to worship Lord Krishna, who to them was a mythical Hindu god. What would he be able to accomplish? Helplessly, he spoke his heart directly to God. I wish that you may deliver them. I'm seeking your benediction so that I can convince them. And for convincing them, he would trust in the power of God's holy name and the Srimad Bhagavatam. This transcendental sound would clean away desire for material enjoyment from their hearts and loving awakened service to Krishna. On the streets of Boston, Prabhupada was aware of the power of ignorance and passion that dominated the city, but he had faith in the transcendental process. He was tiny, but God was infinite, and God was Krishna, his dear friend. On the 19th of September, the Jaladuta sailed into New York Harbor and docked at the Brooklyn Pier at 17th Street. Srila Prabhupada saw the awesome Manhattan skyline and the Empire State Building, and like millions of visitors and immigrants in the past, Statue of Liberty. Srila Prabhupada was dressed appropriately for a resident of Vrindavan. He wore kantimala, neck beads, and a simple cotton dhoti, and he carried his japamala, chanting beads, and an old chadar, or shawl. His complexion was golden, his head shaven, sika in the back. His forehead was decorated with a whitish Vaishnav tilak, and he wore pointed rubber white slippers, not uncommon for sadhus in India, but for who in New York could have even seen or dreamed of someone appearing like this Vaishnav? He was possibly the first Vaishnav sannyasi to arrive in New York with uncompromised appearance. Of course, the New Yorkers have expertise in giving not much attention to any kind of strange new arrival. Srila Prabhupada was on his own. He had a sponsor, Mr. Agarwal, somewhere in Pennsylvania. Surely someone would come to greet him. Although he had little idea of what he would do as he walked off the ship onto the pier, I didn't know whether to turn left or right. He passed through the dockside formalities and was met by a representative of Travelers' Aid, sent by the Agarwals in Pennsylvania, who offered to take him to the Scindia ticket office in Manhattan to book his return passage to India. At the Scindia office, Prabhupada spoke with the ticket agent, Joseph Forrester, who was impressed by this unique passenger, his light luggage, his apparent poverty. He regarded Prabhupada as a priest. Most of Scindia's passengers were businessmen or families, so Mr. Forrester had never seen a passenger wearing traditional Vaishnav dress of India. He found Srila Prabhupada to be a pleasant gentleman who spoke of the nice accommodations and treatment he had received on the Jaladuta. Prabhupada asked Mr. Forrester to hold a place for his return on the ship to India. His plans were to leave in about 2 months, and he told Mr. Forrester he'd be keen to keep in touch. Carrying only 40 rupees of cash, which he himself called a few hours of spending in New York, and an additional $20 he had collected from selling 3 volumes of Bhagavatam to Captain Pandya, Srila Prabhupada, with umbrella and suitcase in hand, and still escorted by the traveller's aid representative, set out for Port Authority bus terminal to arrange for his trip to Bhava. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24, Text 2 and 3. We'll chant text 2 together. Aryakshaya Dishat Pracham Sambrakeshaya Dakshinam Pratijim Vrikasamgyaya Suryam Dvavina Sevibu Harakshaya Dishat Prachim Dhamrakeshaya Dakshinam Pratijim Vrikasamgyaya Suryam Dravinash Sevibu Aryakshaya Dishat Prachim Dhamrakeshaya Dakshinam Pratijim Vrikasamgyaya Suryam Dvavina Sevibu. Questions? Haryakshaya unto Haryaksha. Adisat, delivered. Prachim, eastern. Damrakshaya unto Damrakshish. Dakshinim, in the southern side. Pratichim, in the western side. Brika Samgaya, unto his brother whose name was Brika. Turyam, the northern side. Dravinashe, unto another brother of his named Dravina. Vibhu, the master. Translation. Maharaj Vijatsava offered the eastern part of the world to his brother Aryaksha, the southern part to Dramrakesha, the western part to Brika, and the northern part to Dravina. And Tadana Gatim Shrakal Labda Vatadana Samjina Apratramya Adata Sikhandinyam Susamatam. Formerly, Maharaj Vijitsava pleased the king of heaven Indra, and from him received the title Antaradhan. His wife's name was Shikhandini, and by her he begot 3 good sons. I think I need to change my glasses. Maharaj Vijatsava was known as Antardana, which means disappearance. He received this title from Indra, and it refers to the time when Indra stole Maharaj Pruti's horse from the sacrificial arena. Indra was not visible to others when he was stealing the horse, but Maharaj Pruti's son Vijitsava could see him. Yet despite knowing that Indra was taking away his father's horse, Vijitsava did not attack him. This indicates that Maharaj Vijatsava respected the right persons. Although Indra was stealing the horse from his father, Vijitsava knew perfectly well that Indra was not an ordinary thief. Since Indra was a great and powerful demigod and servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vijitsava purposely excused him due to sentiment only, even though Indra was acting wrongly. Thus, Indra became very pleased with Vijitsava at that time. The demigods have great mystic powers, and being able to appear and disappear according to their will. And since Indra was very pleased with Vidyatashva, he bestowed this mystic power upon him. Thus, Vidyat Shav became known as Anthaparna. Om Gyan Timandasya Galanjala Shalakya Chakshu Meditamyena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha. Who's born the darkness of ignorance, my spiritual master, something my eyes, with knowledge, I've learned to my face, something. Okay, so recently I've been listening to some lectures from Swayam Bhagavan Maharaj, and he was saying that when we're reading, we shouldn't just read, it goes in one ear and out the other, but we should really, when we're eating, we chew, we digest. And he was giving 4 different kind of tips or points of how we can digest what we're reading. So he said the first thing is, when we're reading, we should think, what have I heard? What stands out to me? And then we should reflect on that, reflect on the deeper things in relation to what we've heard. And then think about, how can I apply this in my life? And what are the aspects about this that we could offer heartfelt prayers about? And it's really helped me in my reading, actually. And as well, I read with devotees every day, like on WhatsApp and Signal. We kind of read one paragraph and then send a reflection on it back and forth. And sometimes it can be quite hard, if you just get a small text with just a list of things or something. But I've really found that using this method has helped me really understand and go deeper into the simplest things. So with that in mind, I was going to use that method in this class today. Or when I was reading and planning for the class, that was what I was meditating upon. So first I thought we could hear a little bit more about this pastime of Indra stealing the horse. Indra stealing the horse of Prithu Maharaj, because many people might not have been following along on this story in the Bhagavatam. There's lots of people here today that don't normally join our class. So first we'll hear about that and reflect on the deeper meanings of that. So King Prithu Maharaj, he was the king, or Maharaj Prithu was the king of earth, and Indra was the king of heaven. And Indra, and previously he'd done 100 horse sacrifices for outreach purposes. We may want to call it horse rejuvenation ceremony. Sounds a bit nicer. Because the horses weren't just killed and that was it. They were actually brought back to life again in new bodies, regenerated or rejuvenated. So Indra had done 100 of these sacrifices, and he even had a title for that. And Prithu Maharaj, for the benefit of the citizens and for his own ruling, he also was going to do 100 horse sacrifices. So he'd got to number 99, and Indra was he was starting to feel pretty uncomfortable about this. He was scared of losing his position. And we've heard about this before with Indra, in the Govardhan, Leela, certain pastimes. Indra, because of his high position, I guess, the more you have to lose, the more anxious you get about losing it. So Indra, even though he's a great devotee, he has this amazing position with honor and respect and title. And when other people come close to that, then he feels insecure, and that can push him to do things that as a servant of Krishna he wouldn't usually do. So out of enviousness of Prithu Maharaj and fear of losing his position, he decided to disrupt the sacrifice and steal the final horse of the yajna. I was thinking, do we ever feel like this? What is our trigger that, we're a nice devotee, we have our moral compass, and then what is it that shakes our moral compass, that causes us to internally want to cross some boundaries? Is it fear of losing position? Is it, wealth, power, lust? What is, because everybody has a different body, a different mind, different sense attachments. And so we're all triggered by different things. And so each of us have things that we're afraid of losing and can, send us off from our usual moral compass. So this was interesting, was his losing his position. So he decided to dress up as a sannyasi and come and steal the last sacrificial horse. So he did this, he dressed up as a renunciant. And this was a big problem, because even though he was dressed in the garb of a renounced person, he was completely opposed to that spirit of renunciation. He wasn't renounced, he was completely attached. He was attached to title, prestige, his position. And in this mood, he came and stole the final horse. And Atri Muni, he saw that this was happening, and he said to Maharaj Prithu's son, you have to stop him. And so he went to stop him. But when he saw he was dressed as a sadhu, then he just released arrows into the air. He had the opportunity to kill him, but because he was dressed as a renunciant, he could understand who this was, as Prabhupada said here, not an ordinary thief. He didn't actually kill him, but he just returned the horse. And this is actually how he got his name, Vijat Shava, which means one who has conquered the horse or won the horse. So he claimed the horse and he took it back, and they were starting to do the yajna again. But Indra could see that this was, that they had the determination to keep going. So Indra, he also had this, I don't know if we call it determination, because we kind of think of determination as a good thing. Maybe it was more stubbornness. So he had this stubbornness to win at every cost. And I was thinking how if we have this intensity to win, but at any cost, then actually we still have some of that moral compass left. When we do win, we can't actually relish. We don't feel happy about it. There's like as I tell the students in class, you feel yucky inside. You might have won battle, but you didn't win the war. So this was what was happening to Indra. And we shouldn't look down on Indra, because this is actually something that happens to us all. But it just happens that because Indra is the king of heaven, his mistakes are made very public. So again, Atri Muni said to Prithu Maharaj's son, you have to kill him. But out of respect, he still wouldn't do that. So he kept on claiming the horses from Indra. Indra would come as another disguise, another kind of bogus renunciant, sometimes sannyasi, all these different things were happening. And actually every time he would come in a different outfit, then it was described that he was introducing these different bogus systems into society. This was really angering Prithu Maharaj. And so he was so angry that he wanted to kill Indra himself. But the priest at the ceremony said, you can only kill the horse and sacrifice. You can't do that. We'll call Indra here by our special mantras that will force him to come, and we'll just throw him into the fire. So it was this competition, this fight was getting to this stage. But at that point, Brahma appeared, and he said, in these sacrifices, you're trying to please the demigods. How can you please the demigods if you've just killed their king? That's not the purpose. And also, if you don't kill him, then he's going to keep coming, keep stealing the horses, and he's going to introduce more bogus systems of religion every time he comes. And so Brahma said to Prithu Maharaj, you've just got to stop these horse sacrifices. So he asked him, he was so close to achieving his goal. So Brahma just asked him to stop, and just instantly he said, okay. It said, he was immediately with great affection, he conceded peace with Indra. I was thinking, wow. So Indra was the person in the wrong, and the authority went to the person that was right and asked them to stop. And I was thinking, why is this? It's because Indra couldn't hear. Brahma knew that Indra wouldn't be able to hear because of that stubbornness and that attachment in the heart. But when Prithu Maharaj, with friendly dealings, said to him, okay, we're going to stop this now, then actually immediately that humbled Indra, and he could see what had happened, and he'd seen how he'd gone off track, and he admitted he was wrong. So in some ways it looked actually like Indra had won. He had the 100 horse sacrifices. Prithu Maharaj only had the 99. But actually Prithu Maharaj, he gained such fame from this. That ultimately, he was the winner because he got the fame from doing that. And when I heard this, that Brahma actually went to Prithu Maharaj instead of Indra, because Indra couldn't hear, I was thinking, how open am I to feedback? So this was my part of reflection. How open am I to feedback? Am I really stubborn and attached? That people know it's not even worth approaching her because she's so stubborn and attached. She's just going to make more offenses by, not listening to advice. Or am I open to hearing and people can approach me with things? And I was thinking, wow, that's quite a scary thought. That I could be perceived as not wanting to hear, and people just let her go on with it. Actually, Urmila. I really like Mother Urmila. She says it as it is. At one point, she said to me, you can't just carry on with this empty devotional service. She said, well, you can. She said, you can carry on with this empty devotional service, and Krishna might let you carry on with that empty devotional service. Or if you're sincere, he might smash you so you can't actually do any practical service until you internally connect with Krishna. Or you can, connect with Krishna now, 3 choices. 1, Krishna will just kind of let you go on with whatever you're doing. Or he'll have to stop you in your tracks to make you hear. Or you can listen now, so what's it going to be? And she also, says that when Krishna is trying to tell us something, first of all, we might hear it in the heart, a little nudge from Super Soul. If we don't hear, we might hear it from something we're reading, a louder nudge from Super Soul. We might keep on hearing it in lectures. It might be something that really comes up for us. If we're still not listening, a peer might say something to us. Still not listening, a mentor or authority might say something. The voice keeps getting louder and louder until it could be, our foolishness might be really exposed. So best thing is to try and be submissive and open to hear from Super Soul, from others, from Srila Prabhupada, from our mentors. And because the more we make the right choice, the easier it is. But if we keep on ignoring those voices, the harder it is to hear. That people end up being addicts of so many different things. They don't just be from a regular person just suddenly completely down and out on the street. It's step by step, and the more steps you take in one direction, the more natural it feels. But similarly, the other direction it goes as well. The more we're hearing, the more we're open to hear, the more we're following, the easier it is to follow. So we have to keep going in that direction. So that was my reflection about that part of the previous text about the horse sacrifice. And then I wanted to reflect a little bit about the fact that the Jitsapa got this benediction from Indra. And I was thinking how Indra gave this benediction. Well, we hear from the Bhagavad Gita that the boons that the demigods give, it has to be sanctioned by Krishna. They're temporary. And what are they? Temporary and limited, have to be sanctioned by Krishna. And it was also, this was something that was valued by Indra. It was, he was happy with this. And I was thinking how when we please somebody, it's kind of like a loving exchange, that they want to give us something that is of value to them. So if you please somebody down the pub, they're going to want to buy you a drink, because that's their loving exchange. That's what their benediction is to you. That's what they value. I think, oh, this is good. This is what everyone wants. I'll give you this. So Indra, he valued this. He thought it was good. So he thought, I'll please this person by giving you something of value. This is a value. So I was like, wow, okay. So if I got given this benediction of being invisible, would that actually be helpful to my devotional service? Well, probably not, because it would be very tempting to do, corrupt things with this invisibility. So something that somebody thought was a benediction could actually turn into an obstacle or a curse. And I was thinking of in the Bhagavatam, there's so many different examples of benedictions or blessings. And I was thinking, what blessings in the Bhagavatam seemed like a benediction, but actually ended up being a curse. I was thinking Vanasura, he himself, he asked, is it Lord Shiva? For the benediction of having hundreds or thousands of arms, but they ended up being very frustrating for him. So frustrating, he wanted to fight, but everybody ran away, and he would just beat mountains. He thought this would make him happy, but it didn't. Actually, Mother Teresa, she says that the more tears have been cried over prayers that have been fulfilled, those rather than those that weren't. So, we have this, something that we really, really want, and we beg for it, we pray for it. And when it's fulfilled, we're like, oh, sometimes what we think is really going to be helpful for us isn't at all. And then, Hiranyakashipu, he also performed austerities to get benedictions. But of course, he wanted to be immortal, but the demigods can't offer those kind of benedictions because they don't have that themselves. So he got all these kind of benedictions that are in the end, they weren't very useful to him at all. And then, so also what is, in the Bhagavatam, what's a curse that was actually a blessing? Thinking of Narada Muni, he cursed the sons of Kuvera, but it was actually a blessing for them because they got to see Krishna. So this is something that could rectify them. And when he was cursing them, he wasn't thinking, I'm just going to cause you suffering, you weren't respectful for me, so I'm just going to cause you to suffer. He wasn't thinking like that at all. He was thinking how to rectify their position. And also Lord Chaitanya, somebody cursed Lord Chaitanya that he'd have no material happiness, and he was very, very happy for this. So people it seems like people are giving curses or benedictions, but sometimes they go the other way around. And in the Bhagavatam, what are some real blessings that were actually blessings? I was thinking about Narada in his previous life. So in his previous life as a maidservant, he was very simple, not offensive, and he got the opportunity to serve the great sages. And the great sages that were there in the rainy season, there's the period of Kartik will be coming up soon. So the sages, they stopped walking around in the rainy season, they would stay in one place. And Narada Muni, he got this opportunity to serve them. And he really pleased them. He pleased them in a way like Dina Bandhu says, there's different kinds of blessings. We can ask a sadhu for blessings. And, they don't really know who you are, but they're kind of like official blessings. Everyone in Marathi says in India, a sannyasi comes and everyone just wants blessings. In the West, they come and everyone wants darshan. People see a sadhu and they want blessings, but actually the real blessings are heartfelt blessings. So where they're not asked for, but just because of a person's dealings, the saintly person, from the heart, they want to offer blessings. They want their well wishes. So Dhruv Maharaj, Narada Muni, he'd been serving these sages, and he asked them, can I take some remnants of your food? Because the atmosphere created by these sages was so spiritually charged. They had so much potency that just in their association, Narada Muni was getting so purified. And the sages were very happy with him, and they gave him the remnants of their food. And yeah, this was very much a blessing for him. He advanced so quickly in spiritual life. Krishna took complete control of his life. So these are the kind of blessings that we want. We want the blessings of the devotees. And how do we do that? How do we please the devotees? It's through service. So there's different kinds of service to different devotees on the level that we're relating with them. So for those that are superior to us, we ask how to serve them, we humbly serve them, we try and understand their mood and their mission and what will actually please them. To those who are on the same level as us in friendship, we serve in friendship. And those who are younger than us devotionally, we try and help them, we serve them by helping them in their devotional practice. Whatever we know, we share with them. This is another way to overcome enviousness. I think it's Krishna Loka said that. I can't remember who she heard that from. Passed down the nuggets of wisdom. That she was saying that, whatever we learn, we should share it, then we don't become envious. And I was thinking, what's the connection to this? So Indra, this envy came in his heart because he didn't want anyone else to have what he had. He didn't want anyone else to have his position. And because he was so high up, it was very hard. His heart was very attached to this. But if we know something and we freely give it away, we freely share it, then it just softens the heart. And if we keep doing this, the heart becomes soft. And then when we have something larger to give, it's easier for us. It's like Urmila, she was saying about giving charity. Grihastas, part of the Dharma is to give charity. And often we think, well, I don't have too much, but when I have enough money, then I'll give in charity. But she said the problem with this is that the giving spirit isn't there. And attachment to Lakshmi is so strong in this material world that when we do have more Lakshmi, then it's very difficult for us to give it because we're not accustomed to giving it. But if we just have something and give a portion of it, even if it's very small, just a couple of dollars, you might think, oh, it's just not worth it. It's embarrassing, giving small amounts. But actually, if we're just constantly giving small amounts, even if we don't have much, then when we do have more wealth, we're conditioned to giving. It's easier for us to give. It's not so painful to the heart. It's like, I've given before. This is nice to give. And we're conditioned in that way that it's easy. So similarly, if we're conditioned to sharing, it creates that softness at the heart as well. And then when we're serving in this way, and the devotees are pleased, Krishna's pleased, and this is how we get the heartfelt blessings, the blessings that we need to progress in spiritual life, rather than different kinds of blessings or benedictions that might come to us otherwise. Okay, so I'll just go back to what I was saying at the beginning about this hearing, reflecting, applying, and prayer. So, we heard again about the pastime of Rishi Maharaj and Indra and the sacrifice and the benediction that was given by Indra. And we reflected on different benedictions that people giving us, depending on what they're attached to, what they value. And I also reflected on what is it that clouds my intelligence, corrupts my moral compass. What is it that I'm attached to that makes me shudder to think that I would lose it, and then do things against my better judgment, against super soul in the heart. And then, what can I apply from this verse? So in terms of the benedictions, I was thinking, try to serve the devotees, try and be non-envious, try and share. And Also try and be approachable. That if I am going off track, then I have open friendships, open relationships that people can tell me. And also to be able to hear the small voice before the voice gets too loud. I can be corrected when I'm just going off track rather than, big train crash, social media, emails blasting everywhere. Yeah, so try and be corrected, be open to be corrected before big issues happen. And then prayer. Pray to be courageous, to admit mistakes, to get back on track. Because ultimately, we all make mistakes. In the Sri Upanishad, it says we have these four imperfections as conditioned souls. We have imperfect senses, we become illusioned, we make mistakes, we have this cheating propensity. So, when we make these mistakes, we should just try and get back on track as soon as possible, and be humble and not proud. And then final thing was pray for the ability to serve devotees and please devotees. So those are my the hearing, the reflecting, the applying, and the prayer. So that's all. There might be a chance for one or two questions. We've got a big day today, so I probably won't talk too much. Okay. In terms of respecting, different devotees, because we do come from, especially from the West, we don't come from this culture. It's like, who are you? Who are you to tell me anything? It's a different culture and Vaishnava etiquette. But it's not just, the amount of years that somebody's been around that we should respect. We should respect everybody. And in Dhruv Maharaj's pastime, said that his brother and stepmother, they kind of were led to inglorious deaths because of the offences made to Dhruv Maharaj. And Dhruv Maharaj wasn't even a devotee at the time. So, a Vaishnava is a perfect gentleman, perfect lady. And we have to look, be like the bee to look for the nectar. Because if it's just like a flick of the switch in the mind to look for the positive things rather than the negative. Every person has shortcomings, and every person has things that we can glorify. So we should look for the things in ourselves that we should improve, and for others we should see the things that they're doing well and focus on that, because focusing on anything else is just going to create stumbling blocks in our attitude. And also look for or listen for the people that are actually going to really inspire you, elevate your consciousness. And there's so many people, that can do that. know if that really answered your question very much. Anything else? Okay. Srila Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.